Yo, what's up? How we doing, Matt? Is it working?
We're live, baby.
We're live. Okay. I'm going to refresh my laptop here. It's Saturday, and the way I've been doing things for a while now is the first... Oh boy. The first Saturday of every month, the first Saturday of every month, I'm still doing these public live streams. And so that's where we're at right now. It's June 6th. Is that crazy for anyone else? June 6th? That just time has gone by so fast, I feel like.
Oh, is that,
What?
is it National String Change Day?
Oh, is it? International. That's a worldwide event. International String Change Day. I don't know if that's the case or not.
We missed it this year, but yeah, it is.
Okay. Well, hey, congratulations to everyone on this amazing international holiday created by D'Addario, International String Change Day. It's got a real ring to it. I always joke about who came up with the name because it does not zing. It doesn't zing as well as Marty music. Let's put it that way. So I'm going to talk about the CAGED system, CAGED method. It's a thing that people... Hey, Kathy. It's a thing that people feel like if they know this fancy thing called the CAGED method, then all of a sudden they'll be an amazing guitar player. And I found that there's really no one concept that does that. But the CAGED is a really good thing to understand. Now, when I was learning the CAGED originally, like 30 years ago, I just, for instance, hey, hi, Mom. My mom's watching. When I wish my mom well, she broke her foot. Hope your foot's feeling better, Mom. Okay, so when I was first learning the CAGED, it wasn't being told to me that it was this thing called the CAGED. So I feel like that term got a lot more popular in the internet age when it came to, you know, razzle-dazzle marketing, guitar marketing, things of that nature. Things of that nature. For instance, if I took a D major chord and I just played the three notes, the triad, so the G string, the B string, and the high E, I learned fairly early, maybe in the first year to 2 years of playing guitar, if I move that up a whole step, each note's moved up a whole step, so each note is one letter higher. So if this is a D major chord, triad, if I move it up a whole step, it's now an E major triad. So that, I'm just deleting that looper, that could be part of the CAGED, the D shape of the CAGED, but I didn't learn D up a whole step as E and go, oh, that's from the CAGED, right? So there's these concepts that I learned for a long time without officially having it be the CAGED method. So there's two of them that we learn in the first, couple years of playing guitar that everyone's working on. And so even if you don't know what the CAGED method is, if you know a D chord or a C chord or an A chord or a G chord or an E chord, that's what the CAGED is. It's those shapes. It's a C shape that can be moved around, an A shape that can be moved around, and they become bar chords. a G shape that can be moved around, a D. Oh, wait, no, I skipped. Yeah, C, A, G, E, and D. And they can all be moved around. And so that helps you understand the entire fretboard from the perspective of those chord shapes. And it's really valuable, really valuable. But two of them are used right in the beginning of your first and second wave of playing guitar. I think that first plateau when you're breaking out of beginner is when you start learning the bar chords. The two bar chords that we spend a lot of time learning are actually from the CAGED system or the CAGED method. It's the E shape, which you see as this bar chord. And so how is that an E if I play it right there? Well, the root is on the E string, so that's E related. I'm barring it, and then my fingers are the shape of an E chord. So that's the E shape of the CAGED, right? So if I play an E chord with these fingers, so I had to pretend that my index finger was playing these open strings. And E to F is a half step in music, so I just move that a half step. Now that becomes an F major chord. So that's E major, that's F major. If I move that up a whole step, is G major. And then after G, it starts over at A, the letter A, so I move that up a whole step, it's A major. And the root is on the E string. Up a whole step, it's B major. B to C in music is a half step. So actually, I just move this up a half step, and now it's a C major. Let's test that with a regular C major chord. So it's the same chord. You can hear it's the same chord. They're different voicings. So the chords are the notes that make up the chord are the same, but they're laid out in a different way. But that's a C chord. If I move that up, it's a D chord. Move it up as the E chord, half step to F again. So that helps us start to understand the fretboard because we use the C, A, G, E, and D shapes to be able to play any chord anywhere on the neck. It takes time to memorize it, but you can use this method almost like a scientific method, a formula, and it helps you start to understand the fretboard. So the D chord, I can use that same concept, but I'm not barring it. So the open strings, if I move this around, the open strings haven't changed. Right, they haven't changed. But if I just, for a second, focus on just the G, B, and high E, that same concept works. D, up a whole step, it's E major. Up a half step, it's F major. Up a whole step, it's G major. Up a whole step, it's A major. Up a whole step, it's B major. Half step is C major. And then a whole step up, I'm in D major again. So that was the E and the D shapes. Let's do the A shape because that's the other most common major chord. So here's A major. Well, let's pretend that I needed a finger here to get the open strings of that chord, which would be the open A and the B and high E. So to play it that way, I'd have to do something like this. Use my third finger to play. So that's A major right there. James Lewis, thank you. He says, Marty Music, you're a freaking king. Jay Bean says, thanks for all the teaching. Been at it for a month, learning a lot. Thanks so much. So this is kind of perfect. If you've been learning for a month, this is almost a little too much for you. But hopefully any little bit you get from this is going to help. I'm moving my screen here so I can see more comments. And I'm going to make the comments larger. Oh, get well soon on Marty's mom. Look at Mom, you're getting well wishes. Isn't that nice? I love that support. Yeah, someone said, in 2010, you would get an email from YouTube every week showing what your subscriptions had uploaded. Wow. Man, if I got that today, Matt, if I got that today, I really would be a freaking king. I probably wouldn't be working. 5 million people get an email with all my video uploads. That'd be pretty amazing. Okay, let's get back to this. A major. So, but I have to put my finger here and just in my imagination to play an A. So A to B is a whole step. So if I scoot that up, now that's B major. B to C on any musical instrument is a half step. So half step up is C major. Up a whole step is D. Up a whole step is E. And F. And G. And A. So let's just pick one of these open chords and use the chord shapes we've done so far, because we did the E and the A, which are the two most common bar chords, and then the D. So we did 3 of those 5 letters, C, A, G, E, D. We did E and A and D, so the last part of the word caged. We didn't do C or G, but we did A, E, and D. So you guys out there, pick a chord. Just pick any major chord. You know, you don't have a lot to choose from, but pick one out, and I'm going to pick your chord out from the comments to test this kind of method out so far that we have. So name a chord, any major chord. Could be a beginner chord. Greg Levinson. He's at his lake house. Beautiful. Love that. Rose said B minor, but I just said major. You can do this with minor, but major. F major. Okay, F major. We have the open version of F major. I like this like folk way. But remember what we did. We had the A shape of caged. So I find the root on the A string, F. It's the 8th fret. And then the A shape. So that's an F major using the A shape from the word cage. So A shape. Let's see if it matches up to the F right here. It does. Now let's do the E shape, which is just E up a half step, because E to F's a half step. So there's F with the E shape. So let's try the A shape and the E shape and see if they sound like the same chord. They have a different characteristic, but they're the same chord. You can hear they go together. Right? Now let's do the D chord. D, up a whole step is E, half step to F. So now I'm moving around the neck, playing that same chord. Oh, yeah. It's lowering, though.
No, that mic stand. I hate it. What does that?
Yeah, I mean,
There we go.
I guess go
Slowly
like,
go down.
it'll slowly go down. Okay. So James Hips, who's a #1 fan, says, A minor, please. Please. We can do that. So you got the open A minor chord. Let's do the E shape of A minor. It's the same thing as the E shape for major, but instead of an E major looking shape, you do the E minor shape. So E root's right there. I bar it, and instead of an E major shape, I do an E minor shape, and that becomes A minor. Okay? Now, what's interesting is the A shape of caged is already the open A minor, because that's where it comes from. But we'd have to go all the way up to the octave, the 12th fret right here. So that's now barring the 12th fret and doing the A minor shape. So this would be A major, and then I make it minor, and it becomes A minor. Like that. So that was the E and the A. Now let's do the D shape. So instead of D major, I can do the D minor shape. So this is what D minor looks like. And I can just count up the alphabet until I get to A. So D minor, up a whole step is E minor, half step. E to F's always a half step on any instrument, not just guitar. Piano, saxophone, bassoon, double bass, tuba, xylophone. it's E to F's even a half step on a tambourine, triangle. All right, so that's E minor, half step to F minor, whole step to G minor. And after G is A again. So I move that up a whole step. It's now A minor. So I'm going to use my looper pedal real quick and just strum a regular A minor. And I'm going to use those other shapes. And you'll hear that they're the same thing. But what's cool is the more voicings you know, the more you can complement with the different voicings. They all can complement each other. So here's an A minor strum. Oops. All right, so here's the E shape. So hopefully you can hear that's the same chord. Okay, so D minor, E minor, F minor, G minor, A minor. Here's the D shape of A minor. Let's hear how that sounds. All right, now let's do the A shape up on the 12th fret. So that already is a really cool concept. If some singer, let's say a singer-songwriter, just plays the open cowboy chords or the open chords, and they have a song, they go, oh, it's A minor, and they're doing that, if you know, and we didn't do the C shape, and we didn't do the G shape of CAGED, right? But those are all of them. Once you've done those, that's every voicing on the guitar. But we didn't do those. The C and the G are a little more advanced, but they can be done. But so if I'm a lead guitar player that wants to accompany a singer, and I know those other voicings, you could hear I was already had options of like creating more music around it, like this. And I can do single notes with off the voicing. So then I was also adding elements of really just the minor pentatonic scale, but I knew this voicing, this. Here's something that gets really cool. Let's say I knew that, but it was more than one chord. I was making all that movement, moving it around. But what if it was just literally just two chords, A minor to D minor, and I knew those voicings for each of those chords? Watch what that sounds like. It's pretty cool. So one of the things when maybe a guitar teacher or a guitar player says, if you know the CAGED method, you'll become the most amazing guitar player ever. What is kind of cool about that, or what's, you know, it's a sizzle. Everyone's trying to market something to you. In fact, get my free chord and scale book. Why not? But let's say it's an A minor progression and I'm soloing in the A minor pentatonic, but I also have a little bit of understanding of the different voicings. I can incorporate those notes of just the voicings into my soloing. So instead of just always playing, oh, I'm always doing pentatonic, then I also have a knowledge of the chord tones that are happening. And so that would sound like this. I will say this, so that I think that's a cool concept, and those were just 2 minor chords. The more chords you add, major and minor, and you still kind of can understand and work your way around all the different voicings of those chords, you have so much more than the pentatonic scale, and that's another great way to break out of the box. Trademark, break out of the box, 2026, Marty Music Incorporated. None of the characters in this story are based on any factual, any coincidence. No, any similarity, any person real, factual for historical is completely coincidental. Clout Wars 2024. No one even knows what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, the chord and scale book. I was kidding, but I'm also serious, right? So I have this ultimate guitar guide. Which is, I made this course a couple years ago, the intermediate foundation, but it's like every core concept I think you should know to be a well-rounded guitar player beyond beginner, like all the chord voicings, this CAGED method, basic arpeggios, basic triads, and really a triad's just 3 notes from that full shape. So like I have that A major bar chord, a triad could be, or it could be, or it could be, or it could be. So they're all related. Scales, chords are completely interrelated. But the ultimate guitar guide I have, it's the whole foundation of guitar. And really what happened was I made this course called the Intermediate Foundation, which I think everyone should own. I'm a big, easy for me to promote it because I know it's what I wish someone would have given me from the very beginning of learning guitar. And I always relate back to when I was a guitar student and what would have helped me the most. That's how I make my videos. That's how I interact with people. And that's how I make my courses and everything I do. It's all relating back to what was my journey like, right? I was really lucky. I had a great guitar teacher, Chris Sherlin. The Curious Guitarist is his brand now. I helped him launch during the pandemic, you know, paying it back because he taught me so much. And then I'm also paying it forward to Jake Baines, who's the next generation up of amazing players, teachers. So 3 generations. It's pretty cool to be kind of part of that in my legacy besides what I have done here. But anyway, the Ultimate Guitar, the Intermediate Foundation, I made this course because it was everything laid out that I think people should have. And then I had a book to accompany the course. But when I just looked at the book alone, I realized even without the course that all the diagrams in there is everything you should have. So I decided to make that book its own product from that course and call it the Ultimate Guitar Guide and make it free to help everybody as much as possible. So you can see the link in the comments there, but that's the Ultimate Guitar Guide. And I love it. I think it's great. And that was a little taste of the Caged. Now is the I'm going to date myself as a Gen X here. Now is the time on Sprockets when we dance. Anyone know that? Yeah, it's a lot of Gen X's here and some boomers. Sprockets, Matt, do you know what Sprockets is? Yeah, he does not know it.
I know Toad in the Wet.
Oh, Toad in the Wet Sprocket? That's definitely not what I'm referring to. That was a 90s band.
Is that what they're referring to, probably?
No, it has nothing to do with that band.
I always wondered what that meant.
A Sprocket?
Yeah, or Toad in the Wet.
Oh, Toad in the Wet Sprocket. I don't know where they got that name. It's from a book, I think. I think they got, like 90s was like a artist, they were trying to be artistic. And if they were like intellectual, then they reference some intellectual book that like to make them sound like they're super smart and intellectual. Oh, Toad in the Wet Sprocket. It's from this like, this book on Taoism that I was really meditating over in the 90s. I was very moody and I just that phrase really meant a lot to me, so we named the band after it. I think they're a really boring band. Toad in the Wet Sprocket.
Shout out.
Kind of a one-hit wonder. Yeah, shout out though. Sorry guys. Okay, yes. So Matt, you can look in there. Oh, someone said Monty Python. You're close. It's not Monty Python. It's Mike Myers. When he was on SNL, he had a sketch called Sprockets that was like supposed to be like this German, German art, like weird German modern art show. And everyone was like super weird, like modern artsy on it. And it was like this just very, very strange. He had like a black leotard and like slicked back hair, and he was German, and they'd have these like weird guests on. And it was just like super, super weird. He did want to make a Sprockets movie. It wasn't as like big as he had a bunch of Wayne's World was the biggest thing he did on SNL for sure. But Sprockets was definitely like one of the other ones that they did multiple sketches of. And just randomly in the middle, you go, okay, your story has become tiresome. Now is the time on Sprockets when we dance. And they do like weird, like modern art dance. And this is very, very Mike Myers, like the Dieter. Dieter was Mike Myers' name. Sprockets was the name of the show. And Dieter was Dieter, Dieter. Dieter was the host, Mike Myers, of Sprockets. And then, whoever was like the celebrity host of SNL would like come on and act like really confused. Like, why am I on this like weird art show? It was like that kind of thing. There's another really good one later, years later, where Bill Hader played an Italian talk show host, like smoking cigarettes, like at a table, like black table, like no set. And it was so funny because Bill Hader did not speak Italian. He just talked like gibberish Italian. You got to see that. That sketch is so good. But that has a similar Sprockets thing because he'd be speaking Italian and they'd have like the host of SNL on. And he's like, I'm sorry, I don't speak Italian. And, oh, it's a ricevucci, but it's they didn't tell me that it wasn't going to be in English. I actually have no idea what you're saying right now. So that was good too. And anyway, but yeah. Toad is Monty Python. It looks like Toad in the Wet Sprocket is from Monty Python. Maybe that's. Oh, it's a Monty Python reference. I'm sorry that I was not catching that because I was too busy riffing. Yeah. So, thank you. That's what I love about. YouTube. I mean, there's a lot of downside to YouTube and social media, but the upside right now is that I can mention Toad in the Wet Sprocket, or Toad the Wet Sprocket, maybe. I can mention that and not know where it's from, and someone can chime in and tell us where it's from. That's really cool. Dieta thanks to Sprockets. Yeah. How would you classify the difference between beginner player and intermediate? That's a really good question, but I feel like that's a question that's really hard to answer because different people would say different things about that. I feel like if you can play switch chords pretty smoothly, the open chords, maybe you could play something like, but maybe you can't quite play like, I would say when you're like if you can strum some easy open like Neil Young-ish, Bob Dylan, you can strum basically the open chords and switch fairly smoothly, but you can't quite play a bar chord smoothly like that. That's kind of one of the borders of beginner to intermediate. Maybe you have you can like play the pentatonic scale, but you can't really play a solo with it, even a simple solo. That's somewhere on that border. There's no real defined criteria to do that. Oh, yes. Thank you. I know we're on a tangent, but I already talked about the cage. So if you don't know, when I do a live stream, I spend at least a half hour on whatever the topic is. And then after that, I just don't really care anymore. I could turn this off or go back to working on other things. My daughter's visiting right now. I'm going to go hang out with her, etc. So now it's just how entertained are you and how entertained am I? Now I'm seeing the Marty Music logo up on that wall there. That's awesome, Matt. That's not really on the wall. That's like a... Or is it? Maybe it is. That's a graphic. Cool. Okay, so yes, I want to... Steve Rounds 8574. Steve Rounds 8574. He just mentioned another great Dita line. Like I said, it's a weird art show. So they'd have like a little monkey.
I recognize that now.
That was like on a leash. He was like, "Would you like to pet my monkey?" It was, yeah. But I'm sure it was based on like him traveling overseas and seeing some weird stuff and like, creating, Mike Myers is Canadian, but his parents were his dad at least was from Liverpool, like where the Beatles are from. So he had a very like European, like sensibility. Obviously, when he was Shrek, he was Scottish.
Audrey just started watching that.
Shrek? Oh, did she like it?
Yeah.
So Edie, my daughter, was terrified of Shrek. I mean, she didn't see the movie. She was just terrified if he like came on or she saw a picture. Like even if I like was flipping through things and it would be a picture of Shrek, she'd like cry. And so it was like a thing that was known in my household that like my daughter was terrified of Shrek. Hadn't seen the movie, just the picture of him, little, like 2 years old, 3 years old. Your daughter's 3. So it was that same time. But at one point, she got a little bit older. Maybe let's say she was 5. And I begged her to just give it a try. And then she loved it. Shrek is so good. Shrek is so good. So much. Hello, I'm switching from acoustic to electric soon. So which guitar would you recommend for a beginner? I think I kind of prefer a Strat on the cheaper side. That's all good. There's no great answer for that. You got to just close your eyes and imagine what you see yourself playing. Because if you've got an Epiphone SG or you got yourself a Squier Strat, they're both going to be around the same quality of playing and learning. And they have a little bit different sounds to them. If you like more Guns N' Roses, Metallica kind of vibe, probably the SG. But if you like more of a Stevie Ray Vaughan, John Mayer, Jimi Hendrix, then the Strat is a good vibe. Or if you just like the way one looks more than the other, there's nothing wrong with that either. Kathy's working on hammer-ons from Intermediate Blues Course. That's awesome. Kathy saw one of my gigs in New York City, a couple of my gigs in New York City. Last summer, she saw that one. And then a couple years earlier, I wasn't there every single year, but I got Kathy on stage. So Kathy and I have bonded. We've been in the trenches together. And so it's always nice to see you. Thank you, Josh Norco, for the super chat. Dan Tierney bought an Epiphone Les Paul Special 1 for $50. Wow, that's amazing. Rosen of the... Oh, all these long names. Razer 1 of the GS on YouTube. Something like that. Loved that Tracy Chapman story. Just started playing Fast Car the other day. We'll play along on YouTube. Yeah, you can go to my YouTube channel here. You're here right now, actually. But I got to play with Tracy Chapman before my YouTube career when I was just maybe a year, or even maybe I was still in school, college, as a music major. But right around the early 20s, I played this private party with Tracy Chapman. Just her and I, no band, 2 acoustic guitars, and it was magical. Steve Rounds, 857. But I tell a whole story on this channel. You can find it. Or type in Marty Music Tracy Chapman. Although a bunch of my lessons will pop up for Tracy Chapman songs. But I tell the whole story. So I won't tell the whole story right now. I'll leave it to your imagination. You can learn all about it. Also, I got bit by a bat. I just told a story about that. And it was right in this very room. And since then, we found a few more bats in here. So we're a little nervous. And since I already got bit, I made Matt get rid of the other bats humanely.
I guess I'm good because it's been a few days.
It's been a few days. We don't see any more. But I have critter control coming on Monday just to be sure, because there's some storage spaces here. And I think they were getting in through a crack in the bathroom window that was cracked a hair. But we got to make sure they're not entering into like attic space here or whatever. Someone stole my plushie bat at my gig. I ordered a new one, so that's what you got. Tracy Chapman, someone said invite Tracy Chapman. I won't be inviting Tracy Chapman. She's basically retired and she's super shy. The last thing she would want to do is come on someone's YouTube channel. Was already like uncomfortable, very proud and amazing songwriter, but like the fame part and this on stage in front of thousands of people part, that was always uncomfortable for her, which is, I know, ironic, but there's other artists out there that are really scared, have stage fright, and other artists who started not knowing how scared they would be, and stage fright became a phobia that developed. Like Carly Simon is known to have had some horrible, horrible stage fright. So Tracy Chapman's like that. She's done very well off even just that one song, but she's had multiple songs. And she's just content and retired. But she's an awesome person and an amazing artist, songwriter, humanitarian. She's wonderful, wonderful. I love her. And she does know what I'm up to. And she's very proud, which makes me very proud. I mean, that's an amazing thing. That's so wild. I say things like that out loud and I don't believe it. It sounds like I feel like I'm lying, even though I know it's true. Does that make sense to people out there? Also, if someone approaches me and they're like, know me as like Marty Music, sometimes there's a separation of who I feel I am and that person that they're referring to. And that's a really much smaller level than like some big rock star, so I really understand what they mean when they kind of reference that stuff. What's the best distortion pedal? There is not a good answer for that, but if you have no budget and you're like super into playing, I love the Analog Man King of Tone. That's probably that is definitely my most prized overdrive pedal. And I guess Analog Man makes a single, like the King of Tone is two drives in one pedal, and they're very, very sought after now these days. I got mine like 20 years ago. They weren't as legendary. So I've had mine forever. But I guess he makes single units now. So like Analog Man, whatever kind of overdrive, they're just super warm and yeah, I don't know. They just have a great tone and sound to them. I also love the Tube Screamer, the Ibanez Tube Screamer. Tried and true. You can get them for really affordable. There's different kinds, but I love the classic Tube Screamer. Have I checked out Helicasters? No. You should write a song about the bats. I was working on this one. Then I was working on this one. Batman! I know. Marty! Sing and play us a song, Marty. Sing for us. Sing for us. What was I singing? I've sung more lately, which is funny. It's not because I'm like wanting to sing.
At the garage? What was that?
Well, I remember. But I did my own show, 10 years of Marty music. And since it was my show, I thought I'd open the show. I had all these amazing singers. And so I was like, yeah, I want to push myself. So I'll open the show with a song that I'll sing. I certainly wasn't going to sing after all the amazing singers. So I opened the show with Tom Petty. That's only I don't have great range. I don't have great sense of control of my voice. I've always stuck to guitar playing. But I sung, let me ride with you tonight, take you on a moonlight ride. There's someone I used to see, she don't give a damn for me. So let's get to the point, let's roll another joint and turn the radio loud. I'm too alone to be proud. You don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels. No, you don't know how it feels to be me. People come, people go. Some grow young, some grow cold. I woke up in between a memory and a dream. I can relate to the lyrics too. Let's get to the point. Let's roll another joint and let's head on down the road to somewhere I gotta go. And you don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels to get bit by a bat. Bridge. I guess Tom Petty Estate's getting all the money for this live stream. My old man was born to rock. He's still trying to beat the clock. My dad beat cancer a couple years ago. Think of me what you will. I've got a little space to fill. So let me get to the point. Let's roll another joint. Let's head on down the road somewhere. I gotta go, and you don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels. No, you don't know how it feels to be me again. You don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels. No, you don't know how it feels to be me. So I'd open the show with that. I don't know, it was very fitting. Also, it was when I felt like I could sing and not embarrass myself too bad. Plus, I played harmonica on it, so that was fun. Also, I had Kylie Olson, who's got her own show that's really good, called Life in Six Strings, where she interviews guitar players. So I'm going to be on her show. It's really good. Check it out on YouTube. I think it's on the BBC also. She's from England, but she's interviewed all these amazing guitar players. So I was honored to be a part of it. But part of her segment was me like getting ready for my show, my 10-year anniversary show. And I kind of pushed her. She's just more of a beginner guitar player, but I pushed her to get on stage and play. So she introduced me and then played on stage with the band that song. And she did awesome. She was terrified. But I told her, you got to do it. And this relates to everyone else. Because if you don't do it, you'll regret it. You'll lay in bed with the regret. And she knew that. But I said, but if you do it, you're going to be so happy, so relieved that you did it, regardless of how it goes. Plus, she's really, she's super, super gorgeous, super charming. I was like, you're going to look great up there. That's like the most important part. It's true. That's true too. I was like, that's 95% of it. You're going to look great up there. Just act like you know what you're doing and everything's going to be fine. So she crushed it, actually. It was really, really great. And you'll actually see that. So be sure to check out her show, because if you guys are watching this, you're going to like that show anyway. Life in Six Strings. That's it, right? That's what it's called. Life in Six Strings. Kylie Olson. And her show is fantastic. So well produced. And so you can check that out. But her episode on me is not out yet. But when it comes out, you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see her in my house, in the studio, in my other room where I shoot in there. You'll see a lot of my goofy decorations of my house. You'll see the Gibson garage. You'll see me ask her to, challenge her to play in the show. And then you'll see her introduce me and come up and play in the show. So I think you guys will really enjoy it. 2-year anniversary of deciding to pick up guitar and finding Marty music on YouTube. And I've just joined a band with a gig booked New Year's Eve. Thank you, sir. Icon for Life 2468. Who do we appreciate? 246. So that's what it's all about, folks. That's why I'm never going to retire. That's why I never, we all have good days and bad days. But, something like that, makes up for the bad days. So I want to keep going, keep doing it. Just started learning the guitar parts in songs more obviously the more I learn guitar. Okay, I just started hearing the guitar parts in songs more obviously the more I learn guitar. Is this normal? Gotcha. Super normal and super good. It means you're improving and you're getting better. Cool. All right. Well, Alex Schmidt. God damn, Marty, I'm a effing noob, 52 years old, but I don't feel too old to learn it. Yeah, my English is bad because I am a effing German. I love you, man. Got so much of you. Love you, Marty. I love you, Alex. And now is the time on the sprockets when we dance. Would you like to pet my monkey? Touch my monkey. Yeah, you would say touch my monkey. Dude, thank you, man. And your English is much better than my German, so you got that.
Did Mike Myers do the Japanese show too, where he's like the host of with Chris Farley?
Yeah, but I think that was like a one-off.
Okay.
That was just a one-off thing, which you could never do that today. But I mean, it was super funny. We're so sensitive today. If it's funny, it should just be funny. Yeah. Chris Farley's a tourist, and he's like doesn't know what's happening. He ends up on this like crazy game show, and in Japan there are these like crazy game shows where you get hurt and stuff, and so like they're basically acting like they're gonna like cut his hand off and like just crazy stuff, and he's like doesn't speak English. He's like, I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're saying. Spicicle, that's a good one. Hey Marty, I'm glad I saw you were live, but I'd like to ask something. If I buy some really nice strings for my electric guitar, will it help me? No. A nice string might sound 5% better than a not as nice string. Some strings last longer, or they don't break as easily, but it's not going to make you better. He did a Japanese skit too, yeah. Someone else earlier mentioned the other famous one he did, because Austin Powers was never on SNL. Like, that didn't come from SNL. He came up with that after he wasn't on SNL anymore, which was cool. Same with Shrek. So a couple of his biggest characters weren't from SNL, but Wayne's World is definitely the most famous thing he did on SNL. But he actually did Wayne's World before he was on SNL. He did that as a Canadian comedic character, and that probably is like what got him SNL. And then he did, but Wayne's World did not have Garth originally, but Mike Myers was a new cast member, so they kind of forced Garth on it because Dana Carvey was the biggest star on SNL. So to like make it work, they were like, sorry, you got to have Dana Carvey on it. And they actually notoriously did not get along for a bunch of time, and they really butted heads on those movies. And it was not a great thing. And since then, like years later, they've completely made up and they're friends now. But, you know, those comedians, they're dark, you know. A lot of them are really dark. You know, what is I don't know the right saying about like a clown is the most unhappy on the inside. That's why they do so much humor. I saw this great thing though that was cool about Jim Carrey, because he like couldn't sit still and he couldn't like not be a class clown, and so he was really disruptive. He's Canadian too, as well. Those damn Canadians, man. Jim Carrey was really disruptive in school and cracking everyone up and everything. So the teacher, this is a good teacher, everybody. This is a good teacher. She then, because she wasn't going to win, he or she, I think she basically said, if you can like behave all of class, the last 15 minutes, you can go up and entertain the class. So his original stand-up was developed back then, 15-minute sets doing characters and like all this crazy stuff for the class, you know? Isn't that amazing? I think that's the coolest. And I'm just going to believe that's a true story, you know, because they say don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. That's a good story, so I don't care, right? Mike Myers, when he was down and out, also sat under the Hollywood sign and with a check that he wrote out to himself for $20 million for comedic acting, and he had nothing going on. He didn't, in fact, his dream was to be on SNL. He auditioned. He didn't get it, which is crazy. But for whatever reason, he didn't get it. But he sat under the Hollywood sign with a $20 million check and would just, envision that was going to happen when he wasn't successful. And then years later, he got $20 million for Ace Ventura, I think. It was the right number and everything.
That movie's got to hold up. I haven't seen it.
There's some PC things that don't hold up. There's some stuff. There's some stuff. It's funny, though. Oh, yeah, both of them. Both of them, there's stuff. There's just stuff. It's just a different era, right? Like Revenge of the Nerds, for instance. Like, there's just stuff that it's just from a time capsule, right? But when he comes out of in the second one, when he comes out of the rhino, I mean, that's just like, that's the craziest. It looks like the rhino's giving birth. That's just insane. How they came up with that is crazy. Manifested it. This is true. I wouldn't get too much into my own manifestations, but I've done stuff like that. I mean, it's crazy. I have done stuff like that. Actually, I actually did something like that because I saw that story about Jim Carrey. I mean, we're talking, 20 years ago. I did that. I actually had a check in my wallet, Matt. I don't know if you knew that. It wasn't for $20 million, though. I should have been, because what's interesting is that came true for me, too. And it was a much smaller check. But I think that's part of it, is that it has to be somewhat attainable in your mind. Like, if I just wrote a check for $1 billion, part of me knows, like, or doesn't feel like it's possible, right? So I did actually have a check in my wallet because my dad reminded me. Because I was I was super booked, working all the time, but very much still barely maintaining the ability to pay bills and pay for a mortgage and support a family. But I was super busy. I was super self-employed. Tons of students, tons of gigs. So it just doesn't pay that well. And I had a check in my wallet. And I remember one time my wallet was sitting out. My dad saw it in there. And he kind of laughed at it. But he also thought he admired it, but he also was like, whoa, that's funny. And for me, I was more like, yeah, I saw Jim Carrey, work for Jim Carrey, I'm trying everything. I'll try anything. And it came true. And I've had multiple things like that come true. One thing that was crazy is my senior year of high school, and Matt doesn't know this either. My senior year of high school in English class, it's like the last week we're graduating high school, the rest of our lives ahead of us. The teacher said, I want you to write yourself a thing that's 10 years from now. Where are you? And I found it later, and it was all of it basically came true. Because I was barely, I knew D and G. I was not going to go to college to be a musician. But I wrote I've got gigs. I'm playing in a band. It was all this stuff that came true, and I didn't even remember writing it. And I found it later, and I was like, oh my God, I guess this kind of works. I don't know, but I'm not a mystical magic guy. I'm always wanting to know the science behind something like that working, right? But I do practice that stuff. It used to be called more visualization. Michael Jordan would visualize making all the shots and visualize winning. Athletes, not just Michael Jordan, but athletes would close their eyes. And there was all this stuff in it. When I was younger, it was more visualizing your success, visualizing this and that. Now in 2026, it's the power of manifestation, the secret, law of attraction, which is it's all the same thing though. So what I'm saying is the same thing. And I think the more you believe it, the more it works. And then there's that analogy, you get a new red car and now you see that same red car everywhere. The red car was always there, but now that it's at the front of your mind, now you're seeing it. So if you have goals and you use that same method of visualizing it, then it helps you reach it. It helps you seek out the focus that it takes to get to that thing. Anyway. Anyway, I think we're good. We went an hour. Yeah. Is it one more question, guitar, because I was getting into the foo-foo weeds. Is it reasonable to say that playing melodies with fragments of caged chords and triad fragments is a more interesting way than single note melodies? I think you want to just combine every method and technique and blend them all together, because now you have multiple creative options. The more different things, because pentatonic blues licks are amazing, but if you have pentatonic blues licks but you also can visualize the triads, which gives you the chord tones, and the melodies have the chord tones in it, and you find a way to make all that flow together, then you just creating more interesting things, I think. So that's my answer to that. Journaling is good. Hello. I'm learning since about 2 years. I just learn online, but never give up. But you, Marty, are the most best feeling guy to me. Yeah, I effing know bad English, but you are my hero. Alex, that's Alex again. Donka. Did I say that right? Alex, thanks so much. I really appreciate that. Johnny, be good. Oh yeah, I used to do that. I'll do that for you, because I already played some copywritten songs. All right, so let's see how it would go. Someone said, what's Jason Statham like? Super nice guy. Super kind, sharp, charismatic, very polite, English, polite. Great guy. Great guy. All right. So let's see if I did that right. I don't even know. I'm rusty on that. Go, Johnny, go. Johnny, go. More treble. This is a live stream. It's not perfectly EQ'd. It's just the way a live stream is. Thanks, guys, for watching. First Saturday of every month, I do these public live streams, but I've moved my live streams over to martymusic.com for the community members only. You want to check it out? I think you'll love it. You can also chime in on video over there. It's been wonderful, and it's quality over quantity, so it's a great community of supportive guitar students. So I recommend you go over to martymusic.com and check out that community because it's been wonderful. But only come over there if you're cool. All right, we'll see you guys later. Thanks, Matt.